The Projects page lists all of your projects at your organization. The table displays names, a posted date and associated plan, current margin, projected margin, as well as project type and status. Archived projects can be seen by clicking on the filter button and selecting Show Archived. In the left column, you can see an icon that indicates if the project is archived or not. The actuals and projected columns are automatically updated as timesheets get approved on the Approvals page, in near real time. Clicking on a project's name will bring you to the project's details page. Here you will be able to do and see many critical financial tasks that drive the projected margins seen on the previous page. Plans allow you to come up with different paths forward in your scheduling to ensure that you have the best possible outcome from both a resource and financial perspective. In the Plans dialog, you're able to switch between existing plans that have been created by you or others at your organization. There is the option to create new plans from scratch or by starting from an existing plan. You can also rename and delete plans from this dialog. When a project has been reviewed for the week, the expected next step is to press the Publish button so that the plan is shared with the rest of the organization. Only one plan can be published at a time. This published plan has its projected margin posted to the projects page for all to see. It includes a Posted At field to help others know how long it has been since the plan was last reviewed. There is also the possibility to view the project's financial numbers in a different currency by clicking on USD on the top right. A dialog will open where you will have over 45 different options to choose from. The next section of the projects page is the summary. There are 2 columns of numbers that flow the entire length of the page. The first of the 2 columns is the current numbers of the project, what have we spent to date, and what does our profit margin currently look like. The second column is the projected numbers of the project, what will we have spent by the end of the project, and what will our profit margin look like then. The budget for the project is set in the project's settings page, and it is possible to change the projected budget to test out different plans. Costs billed to a project are broken down into 4 different types: labor, fringe benefits, studio overhead, and expenses. These are summed to show you your total project costs in addition to the project's profit or loss in both a dollar amount and a percentage. If we want to understand the details of the costs incurred by the project, we can scroll down to the labor and expense details. The labor details groups labor costs by department and role. Clicking the plus button will allow you to add a labor projection. Selecting a department and role will filter down people that match the drop-downs. You can also uncheck the filter suggested users to select anyone within the organization to fulfill a role. Selecting the TBD option allows you to create a placeholder person if you're unsure as to who would fill the role at the current time. You can set a location, rate type, and amount for the TBD in place of an actual contract. Projections are made on a total of labor weeks that the person will work on the project. As the person records time to the project, it will automatically deduct from this projected labor week number to avoid having to come back in and edit this value. Only edit this value if a new plan is being created for the project in person. If you want to explore the raw data of the timesheets, you can do so by clicking on the View Time Entries label. Click the top right button to download the data to a CSV. The expense details groups expense costs by category and vendor. Clicking the plus button will allow you to add an expense actual or projection. Unlike labor, expenses are projected not by vendor but by category. This allows better projection management as we don't have to anticipate specific vendor costs. When adding an actual expense record, we can provide the vendor as well as a transaction date, amount, and description. If we need to modify an expense, we can click the View Transactions label to look for the expense that needs to be corrected. If a projection for a category has been exceeded, the label's color will be set to red and a tooltip will include additional information. Back on the Projects page, we have the option to click on the Edit button on the far right of each project's row. General information can be set for the project in the first section. Project's name should be known internally at your organization to ensure that timesheet entry and project lookup is made simple. A unique identifier, the project code, is generated when a new project is created. This ensures that if you accidentally have 2 projects with the same name, that you will always be able to distinguish them. The page drop-down allows the user to switch where this project will be displayed, either on the Projects page or the Overhead page. If you accidentally created a client-facing project within the Overhead page and needed to move it back to Projects, This is where you would do that. A project's budget as well as percentages for studio overhead and fringe benefits is set here. The project budget is the total amount that will be billed to the client. The studio overhead percentage gets inherited from the organization's settings page. This applies a markup to all labor costs. The fringe benefits percentage gets inherited from the organization's settings page. This applies a markup to labor costs for people that have contracts with fringe benefits. The project type and status are also inherited from the organization's settings page. As your production moves through a project, the status of a project will most likely change. Allow future weeks entry and include in payroll export and include in overtime calculations are all self-explanatory options that you can check or uncheck on a project. The visibility on timesheet entry page allows you to control who sees this project when filling in a timesheet. When a project is created, it defaults to not visible to safeguard against displaying a project name to the entire organization before it's meant to be known. If this project is only applicable to a particular group of people, then you would select Assigned People. You can then select which people you want to be members by clicking the plus button in the next section. Otherwise, you can set the visibility to all people so that it's visible to everyone at your organization. The timesheet data that is associated with this project must get approved by a person. This section is where you define who that person is. You can add one person or many. The last section of this page is the actions that can be applied to the project. Archiving a project hides it from drop-downs, but does not exclude it from reports. While deleting a project will exclude it from reports. If you need to recover a deleted project, you would do so in your organization's settings page. Back on the Projects page, you can click the New Project button on the top right to add a new project.